let's bring Ben Klein up here to talk. This feels very meta very quickly, actually. This is between two ferns. So, Ben, I'm not going to roast you. I'm not going to go into that. But my computer tells me that you've written a piece called Torque.
I have.
This. I should have started by saying it's nice to have you on the podcast. We built instruments together.
Yes.
And that was really fun. I still have that.
Good.
Actually,
that little
yeah.
Mbira.
Yeah, the Mbira, and I've had to fix it like 3 times, so it's getting better and better.
If you have an instrument that you don't fix, it's not truly your instrument.
Wow. That's
wow.
very that's a nugget. Okay, you can go back now from you. So I'm very interested in this because all of your work that I know is sound installations. I don't know if I've actually experienced like straight up composition,
score.
score.
Sure.
A real music from you. So what's I see violin, viola, and rotor 1, rotor 2, right off the bat. What does that mean? What is it? What are rotors about? What's this about?
Well, I couldn't get too far away from sound installation, so I did have to build something for this piece. And so I created 2 rotating beams of wood that have small pieces of metal on them that scrape against a board. And it makes a tandem sound with each, the viola and the violin, right? So the viola and violin are playing more kind of a pointillistic spectrum around this rather sustained sound that's being created by the rotor mechanisms.
Could we bring up like maybe just like even just page 2 of the score? Oh, it's only 8 pages. That's not so bad.
What are you complaining about?
What am I complaining about? It's only 8 pages.
Yeah.
Is it up? Is that all cool? It's up. So yeah. So like these. I see again the pointillistic. Got these. Pointillism is dots on a page basically that look like something, but in music, you can see those kind of dots and see the shape of what you're going for. And then we have the rotors. That line, that thick line. I think there's a note at the top indicates sustained, accelerated, or decelerated speed of the rotors. So that's kind of, imagine that sound.
Nice.
You might be right. You might be right. You're gonna have to come to find out. So that's probably a sound that you two can imitate. I don't know if you do in the score, but that scraping sound.
Well, I essentially think of the rotors as another bow.
Oh, cool.
So like Hannah and Maya are playing bowed instruments. The rotors are essentially a bowed instrument as well. In building these instruments to go along with what Hannah and Maya are doing, I was thinking about how do I relate the built instrument with the traditional string instruments. And the word torque, or the title comes from the torque of the rotor going around, while in composing the piece, the pitch relationships are based on the principle of torque. Essentially, it's a mechanical force where I took specific notes as a pivot point around which I would measure an interval as maybe the leverage around that pivot point, and the force applied by that torque would affect the rhythm or the time. And so I use that principle as a way to play with the notation and the pitch material, the time material for Maya and Hannah's part. And so that's where the concept of torque comes into their part.
So it's physics-based
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
So
concept.
playing with the concepts of physics and how do you apply that to music notation.
Yeah. Which I think is often, you know, again, always wanted to explore like the whys and why nots of people consuming this music, but the whole like mathematical, scientific, physics, you know, that kind of stuff seems to be like a reason that people kind of cite sometimes for, or a lot of times when I talk to people, of like, it's too smart, you know, like that kind of thing. And it's like, but what isn't, you know, like all the other music is too. But at the same time, neither is this, you know, it's like, so but that idea of torque, like to me, like already, like it gives me like a physical sensation, you know, kind of thing.
Great.
And yeah, it gives me, you know, like that's something that to me, it's like a twisting and turning, you know, it's momentum that's happening continuously.
Well, and there's a principle of torque to a violin and a viola as well, right? The bow is putting this pressure on the string, and so those same types of principles are in play.
Yeah, and is that, so playing the piece, is that something that, is there anything that you're aware of feeling, you know, when you let yourself kind of get into the piece?
Well, it definitely has like a feeling of being like wound, and like there's a lot of tension because like it's quite quick, and there's this quick back and forth between the two of us, and these like you're saying, these pitches that are like that keep coming back, and so they're
Kind of like bouncing.
Exactly.
Like you're stuck between the
you're
same
just like you're
pitch,
going
so.
around,
Yep.
moving between these pitches in between the two of us.
But we haven't heard the rotors yet, so
Exactly.
we're really looking forward to that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else you wanna point out about this?
Well, I mean, the reason why I was looking at like these principles of torque as a place to write a piece of music was just because it seemed like a nice, rich set of numbers to play with. You know, it was just a nice, fertile place to play, and that was just kind of how I came about this material. It was just playing around with the numbers and seeing how they what type of relationships come about when you apply this principle upon the notation, and then that's how the piece came to fruition.
That's cool.
And then I guess the other thing that I was thinking of when writing this piece was giving myself the challenge to write an electroacoustic piece that had nothing to do with speakers. So
Cool.
it's a piece of electronic music that doesn't involve speakers at all.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge that I set myself
Oh, that's neat.
for this piece.
That's neat. Awesome. I look forward to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Wouldn't it be weird if, like, in one of your pieces, I'm like, I'm not looking forward to that. I mean, I sincerely look forward to yours, but it'd be weird. It'd be odd. It'd be uncomfortable.
Well, maybe you should look backward then.
I will look backward.
All right.
Not you.